Hey YouTube, just a quick video here about my thoughts on junk silver or constitutional silver. First off, let me start by talking about the things that I like about junk silver. Number one for me is I think junk silver is it's sexy. I love it. I think it's got a great look. It's like you feel like you're in the Wild West anytime you handle junk silver, especially, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I love it. I love, mercury dimes are probably my favorite pieces of silver. Um, for a while I even contemplated stacking nothing but mercury dimes. I just love them. I think they're beautiful. They're small. If you talk about in like a bartering or SHTF situation, there's nothing better to barter with in my mind than having small denominations, ones that are easily recognizable. Mercury dimes or rosies, or even I got some barbers here. So, dimes and any of the constitutional to me has a great look. I love the way it looks. It is recognizable. Um, a lot of it just has a great patina to it, and you can tell they've been handled and they've been loved, and it's just it's like dirty money. I just love it. So yeah, to me it's sexy. That's the best number one thing it's got going for it. Um, like I said, it is recognizable too, which is another pro of junk silver. It's easy to split up into smaller denominations. Um, so it does definitely have some pros to it. Some of the cons, in my opinion, which to me, the cons, I'll get this out of the way, the cons are more than the pros in my mind. I've got about $250 face of constitutional or junk in my portfolio, and I think you should have some. I don't think you should stack nothing but junk. I know some people do that, and if you do that, that's great, but that's not what I think. It's not what I would do, but because there are some cons in my mind. Number one is the price. And your mileage may vary; it might be different where you're at, but where I'm at, constitutional is expensive. If you actually figure out per ounce what you're paying, the premium is more than buying Silver Eagles, and so um, it's a pretty high premium. Uh, and when you go to sell it back, you're going to get spot. So you're paying a big premium that you're not going to get back when you go to sell it. So the gap between the buy and the sell price is one of, if not the biggest, of things that you'll buy. So to me, that's the number one con, is just that it's expensive. And sometimes you can get deals. I've gotten deals sometimes where it makes sense, but most of the time in my area, buying it, uh, they kind of try to trick you by charging, a certain amount times face, and so it makes it hard to do the math and figure out, how much you're actually getting. But when you figure out how many ounces you got and what you paid for it, you'd be surprised sometimes how much of a premium there is on the constitutional. So the other thing, and this to me is not a big deal, but if silver were to jump to the moon because of its industrial use, then there'd be an extra step here, because this is 90% silver instead of 999 bullion. So there's an extra step there if the industrial side of it is something that leads you to stack. To me, that's not why I'm stacking. I'm not stacking because I think it's going to go to the moon because of the industrial use of it. It'd be nice if it did, and I do think that that eventually we're going to run out of it. So yeah, I think it's going to continue to climb, but if that's your rationale for stacking, then constitutional is probably not what you want, because there's going to be that extra step there of getting the silver out of the coins. Not to mention that right now it's illegal to melt these down because they're it's United States minted. So um, because they're not the purity, I guess I would say would be another con, is that they're not 999. They're only 90% or 40% if you're talking about you know uh, certain half dollars, or 35% for war nickels or things like that. So the purity is another con to me, along with the price. Um, the other thing too is because they're not 999, they're going to take up a little more storage space to get that same ounce of silver compared to just storing rounds, whatever. Not a huge difference, but um, their portability, they're a little bit less portable compared to other forms. So, long story short, I think you should have constitutional. I think it should be part of your overall stack. And I think of your constitutional, it should be varied. As much as I love dimes, I do stack other things. I've got several tubes of Silver dollars, I've got halves, I've got quarters, I've got a little bit of everything. War nickels, 40% halves, I've got a little bit of everything. But dimes are definitely my favorite. And in my personal opinion, if I'd have more dimes probably than anything else. But you're probably getting your least bang for the buck in my mind as far as what you're paying in premiums for it. And again, your mileage may vary where you're at. Maybe where you're at, you can get it for close to spot. I've heard people who say that, but in my neck of the woods, it's nowhere near spot. It's more than Eagles. You're paying $3-4 over spot for an ounce of Constitutional, no matter what it is. So, and a lot more than that if it's silver dollars, but that's another video. But anyway, just kind of my thoughts on Constitutional, guys. I love it. I think it's great. I love the way it looks. I love the way it feels. I love having some in my stack. It's some of my favorite stuff to just, dig my hands through. But I don't love the price. That to me is the biggest deterrent. Is just that I know when I go to sell it, I'm going to get spot for it. And if it takes a big jump up, then that'll be great, and that won't be a big deal, because I'll be making money on it. But it's just it's harder to make back that money if you're starting with that big gap of $3 difference or $4 difference for what the coin shops are buying versus what they're selling. So I always try to ask when I buy stuff too, what do you pay for this when somebody brings it in? Because sometimes it's good to know. Sometimes you can get you buy a generic round that costs you $1 over or 50 cents over. I bought those Britannias in one of my last videos that were 50 cents over, and he paid spot for them, and he had so many of them. I think he said he got like 700 and something of them in. So he was just trying to make a little bit of money on them, so trying to sell them quick. So he priced them at 50 cents over. So if I took those ones back in tomorrow and sold them to him, he'd give me spot for them. So the gap there is 50 cents, or $1 if I'm buying a generic. But to me, like a $3 gap on these coins, it's just harder to come out ahead on that. So that to me is the biggest deterrent for why I don't buy more junk. I honestly probably am kind of done buying junk unless I get great deals on it. $250 face for me is probably enough for my stack. And honestly, if I were to start selling stuff, probably the first stuff I would sell would be the Constitutional. It'd probably be the easiest to replace. Not that I'm a collector, I'm collecting it, but it'd be the easiest probably to put back. And it's just I'm the least attached to it, but it'd be a bummer because I know on the Constitutional, most of it that I have, I probably would break even or maybe make a little bit, but not as much as I would on some of the other stuff that I've got that has less of a gap. So anyway, guys, just some of my thoughts on Constitutional. Share your thoughts with me if you have different opinions. I know there'll probably be lots of different opinions on Constitutional. But I love it. I love the way it looks, but I don't love the price. So that's my thoughts in a nutshell. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. God bless.